deeper waters off of Hodeida's coast, but have faced arrest or even been the target of airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition. Meanwhile, the families of the kidnapped fishermen organized a protest, asking the coalition to release their loved ones. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Gilman's Hardware is a local business with a very special story. Although small and family-owned, the storefront operation has managed to consistently exploit and debase its workers just as if they were members of a giant multinational corporation.
From the moment I started the store 6 years ago, I wanted to make sure that every employee here at Gilman's felt like they were nothing more than a cog in a giant machine, just as if they had worked at one of our larger corporate competitors.
Den Blaker said that despite having only 10 employees and a single location, he's managed to implement a number of unique policies to significantly reduce employee morale, including forbidding sales clerks to sit down during lengthy shifts, reducing their number of days with paid time off, and insisting on humiliating pat-downs during lunch breaks to ensure they never felt like trusted or valued employees.
Other small businesses might have given me benefits or, let me take a day off. But everyone here at Gilman's does their best to treat you like you're a totally replaceable tool for generating profit.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. That's what we do on Free Talk Live. We open up the phones and let you call in. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Got a story here from, I believe it's CNBC, about something that's kind of happened to the Joe Biden campaign that I imagine they'd consider to be pretty unfortunate. So apparently, according to CNBC here, a parody website with embarrassing photos of Joe Biden is outranking his official campaign page on Google. By the way, it's Mark with you.
And Greg.
Greg from New York, longtime caller, swinging by the studio to sit in with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd love to be with one of my favorite radio hosts.
Yeah, and I think Johnson is going to be here very shortly, but regardless, let's go on with this story. So from CNBC, there's Johnson. Users are reporting that the former vice president's official 2020 campaign page is now nowhere to be found on the first page of results for the search term Joe Biden. And I did this search before we went on the air. I just want to make sure I'm not telling any fibs. CNBC isn't leading me down a path. And in fact, Joe Biden did not show up on a regular Google search that I did. His official page did not. His official page did not come up on the first page of the search. It was, this page that was there. Also, something about Act Blue and Wikipedia page and his Facebook page, and then JoeBiden.info, which is the page we're talking about here. His Twitter. Some CNBC story that says how Joe Biden could win the battle but lose the war on Trump in 2020. So. This early on in the campaign season, basically what you're seeing is people peaking and dropping out. At least that's what happened to the Republicans in the last go-round, right? Like you saw, first it was the Ben something or other. I can't even remember their names
Carson.
now.
Ben Carson.
Yeah, they were such a big deal 2 years ago.
I remember when Ben Carson was talking about this video surfaced of him talking about how pyramids were built by aliens. And that's when he peaked. That, and he was talking about, I think, stabbing his friend in the belt buckle.
Right.
Oh,
but
yes.
he's angry.
Forgot about that.
So what's funny is I think the media outreach, the more kind of crazy you were, the more controversy there was.
Yeah.
The more coverage you got.
Right. Well, Joe's getting a lot of coverage right now because of the perception that he likes groping women on
Uncle Creepy Fingers.
Right. It's just none of this has really stuck the words. I do love the Daily Show calls it the audacity of Grope.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's glorious. I mean, and you'd think he would know how creepy he looks, grabbing and smelling the hair of people's wives.
He's one of the first people who, owned up to the fact that he's a Democrat and said, I'm not sorry for anything I've done.
Right, he's done that. He said, I'm not sorry. He's
taken the advantage, the Democrat privilege of not having to apologize for the things that he's done.
Well, why not? I think that they all should be apologizing for doing the stuff that they're doing wrong.
Maybe he should apologize for the Rave Act. That's what I think.
Oh, well.
Maybe he should apologize for the taxes that he's supporting.
I hear a little bitterness in your voice.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt that plenty of Democrats and Republicans have been behind some very crappy legislation out there.
But did they write them?
No.
I thought that's how the politician gets up close and personal. He holds the baby. He fondles the baby.
Right. Well, I don't think Joe understands the difference. So anyway, I want to read this article here from CNBC. Joe Biden's presidential campaign is already sunk, at least on Google. Users are reporting that the former vice president's official 2020 campaign page is nowhere to be found on the first page of results for the search term Joe Biden.
Right. Nobody knows who Joe Biden is.
Well, they all know. But the thing is he's sort of known
his
for...
His campaign sunk because his Google results don't show up because Google decides the election if you're, delusional.
Yeah, Google doesn't decide the election, certainly not.
You know what's interesting about that is also I remember how many people in the media were talking about, I think this was like 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, we're talking about how Google's burying results. There's even a movie about how... there's these activists, social engines or whatever. They really questioned whether, Google's promoting this candidate or trying to bury that one. And these are interesting questions because Google definitely personalizes things for people.
Sure.
Some person who goes to Google might get one search result.
Oh, they do.
Who knows? Maybe somebody gets Biden as number one on their search,
So in that, I think that there was comparative analysis of the defaults because you can do like a private browser tab.
Right, incognito is what it's called.
Some other methods for finding out what the raw search results would be without personalization. And there was, I believe in some of those studies, a clear demonstration of bias regardless of personalization.
But it's just a testament, like how much these platforms have, much power they have.
Right.
That you would even have. So the old media, I should say, the older media with the TV, they're kind of looking at this and saying, well, we're afraid that this other media is going to to influence now the electorate instead of us. Right. And so they're afraid of that. And there's even a movie, I think, that came out, I think, about Google and Facebook, where it was mostly conservatives on the conservative side saying Facebook is sort of coming down on deplatforming them more than the liberal side or, taking sides.
Right. There's the claim, of course, the conservatives are being deplatformed more than liberals. But in this case, I mean, you've got this huge array of Democratic candidates that are out there, lots of them. And Joe Biden appears to be the front runner right now. Now, remember, Jeb Bush was considered the front runner about this time.
Please clap.
Right? please clap.
Please grope.
And I don't think Joe is going to be the front runner. And basically he brings nothing to the table. Is the reason that I just don't think he's going to be anything. He's just nothing special.
It's kind of funny that Donald Trump has the same nickname for him as he had for Jeb Bush, which is like Sleepy Joe versus like Jeb Bush was low energy.
Yeah. Low energy.
What is up with that? I don't know. I don't think he's so sleepy, actually. I don't understand that nickname.
Who? Joe being low energy?
Joe is being called Sleepy Joe by Donald Trump.
It's probably because he wants to, because sleepy rhymes with creepy. He doesn't want to go that far in yet.
So I didn't get
Joe, Gropey, in a way, rhymes with Joe. Could go there,
But we're told up to this point that it's Joe Biden, Sanders, Warren, and Buttigieg are the ones that we're supposed to watch. I mean, that's it. There's your candidates, people. I mean, there's like 20 people in for the Democratic nomination, and
hey, come on,
forget about those.
What about Andrew Yang? I want universal basic income.
I believe
everybody.
that's why Greg is here.
Oh,
is
my
to
goodness.
see Andrew Yang at his speech.
I mean, we're on a very libertarian show, and I think everybody listening can sort of agree that UBI is less government intrusive than means-tested welfare, which is what we have in many countries.
How is it means-tested? So go ahead and explain. What's the difference between means-tested welfare being more invasive than, say, UBI?
Right. So
I can't believe I'm sorry, I'm just flabbergasted that I can't believe I just stepped in something here.
No.
Without realizing what was going on. Fantastic. This is what being a libertarian is all about, being aware of all of the candidates.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Yang has a better chance simply because he's young, and he's got, like, I see his Facebook stuff all the time. I don't know if it's because I once searched Andrew Yang to figure out who he was, but
thanks, Google.
Now I get lots of that. I think it was actually somebody sent me a Yang video on Facebook, so now I see lots of it. But why is regular welfare more invasive than UBI?
So I'm just going to invoke Milton Friedman, who represents a lot of consequentialist libertarians, but he basically makes a lot of points. One point is, with means-tested welfare, you have to make sure that the person's poor first before you give them money.
Right.
You make sure that they need the money, quote unquote. So the thing is that with UBI, you don't do that. Milton Friedman brings up these examples, but there are many more, that the government might spy on a lady and see if she's dating somebody who's finally able to pay for her lifestyle, which they wouldn't do under UBI.
Sure. You'll find that people get very upset about the notion of some woman with kids living with a guy and doesn't marry him because, should or something. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450 free as in freedom. Free Talk Live.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Are you concerned that the values that made America great are no longer taught in schools? Well, I am, so I got my son the Tuttle Twins children's book series.
My name is Jack, and I'm 11, and I just finished the Tuttle Twins series. It taught me about liberty, free market economics, and entrepreneurship.
Give all the young people in your life a chance at reason and clear thought, because they're not going to get it at school. There are 9 books in the series, and each one teaches a set of ideas that children aren't getting elsewhere. Go to TuttleTwins.com and use coupon code FTL to get 40% off. That's TuttleTwins.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever's on your mind. We're talking about, well, Joe Biden's gotten some bad press here, apparently, and I don't know. What do you think? Joe Biden got a chance at being the next president of the United States of America? Your thoughts, 855-450-3733. Want to tell you about Bitcoin.com. They're your premier source for everything related to cryptocurrency. Bitcoin Cash and all the other cryptos, too. Bitcoin.com can help you choose a wallet. You can buy Bitcoin Cash right there. They can show you how to spend your cryptocurrencies. Places like saveatpurse.com. They've got the best news organization in the crypto sphere. Go to news.bitcoin.com to see that. You can get free Bitcoin at free.bitcoin.com. Excuse me, you can get free Bitcoin Cash at free.bitcoin.com. Engage in with the community at the forum they've got there. Listen, go and listen to their... they've got this news thing, Bitcoin.com. If you search them on YouTube, you'll find, just search Bitcoin.com. You'll find their weekly news, all of it, Bitcoin.com. So it's Mark with you,
Greg,
and Johnson.
And I just want to, a little bit more about this site here. Joe Biden has a good feel for the American people and knows exactly what they want deep down, reads joebiden.info, the parody site. He's happy to open up and reveal himself to voters and will give a pounding to anybody who gets in his way. And this site, I looked at it, it does look like a presidential site. It's got Joe Biden at the top. He's smiling, and it's just Biden 2020. And I think it's a little ways down before you figure out that this guy is gunning for Joe as opposed to promoting Joe.
He's just Biden his time.
He's just Biden his time. And there are lots of videos and pictures of Biden doing creepy things. Whether or not Biden's doing creepy things, I don't have any idea. But it don't look good. So Biden's been under scrutiny after a number of women made allegations that he touched them in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. After those allegations surfaced, Biden pledged to be more respectful. Biden's campaign did not respond to a request for comment on this article from CNBC. The internet snafu suggests Biden's campaign is having early difficulty with its digital operation, and that could pose trouble for the 76-year-old as he competes in a field that's already proven to be savvy with new tools for online outreach and fundraising. So you had just said, Greg, during the break, you built the app for the Andrew Yang presidential campaign.
Yeah, we're basically building an app to help Andrew Yang campaign. If you go to yang2020.app, for example, you'll find the app. Basically, Obama was helped by a guy in 2008 with social media. And that
he was, and they credit him with the win, basically.
Yeah, that was a huge factor. I think Obama put him in charge almost like equal to his campaign, head staff.
Right, basically gave him free reign.
Exactly. So back then it was social media.
And it was a pretty small team, honestly, that was able to do a great deal.
Exactly. So like back then, social media was the big differentiator, the secret weapon, and that helped them a lot. Today, everybody, like if you have social media, that's great, right? What else do you have going for you? So I think today, in today's election, it's having your own app. I think Bernie came out with an app called Burn, the Bernie campaign.
Yeah.
And so we thought the Andrew Yang campaign should have an app.
What does one need an app for?
Oh my goodness. Well,
specifically for a campaign, I just can't imagine what I would want think of my favorite politician out there or whatever. I can't imagine what I want his or her app for.
How much time do you have?
Well, give me the short version. What could it possibly do?
Okay. So basically, having a website and having a rally is great, and you get these people, and they're all excited about your rally. But then, what are they going to do?
Right, what are they going to do?
They can talk to their friends, they can donate, right? And then they're kind of done for a while. With an app, I mean, you can reach out to them. You can have the app have, automated notifications.
Yeah, notifications, sure.
You can see when the candidate's coming to your place, your town. You can even help organize a rally. I can take this a few hundred steps further. You can have Andrew Yang appearing as a hologram in 100 different locations, which he's already flirted with this idea, at rallies which are autonomously helped to be organized by the app.
Now, how would somebody interact with the hologram? It's not a bad idea. People might go someplace to see a hologram. How would they interact, though?
It's that particular performance may not be personalized to every person, right? It's just about seeing Andrew Yang in your rally. But that idea of organizing the rally with the app in everyone's pocket, allowing them to be more effective, doing 90% of the work. So all you do is press a button.
Yep.
And it pairs you up with people, and you can have rides to and from the event, and you could actually see when the event is or even organize the event. That's something an app can do.
I guess it just comes down to the downloads on the app, right? You got to have the app out there, and then people either download it or they don't. And if they download it a bunch of times, then, well, that was a good idea. And if they don't, then, well, we tried. And, that's where it goes. I mean, we don't have any idea how many downloads the Bernie campaign got on their app, just that they had one, right?
Right. I mean, the news came out that he had an app.
Right.
But that's just rudimentary.
And you sprang into action.
At least you have an app, right? But the idea is an app that could help people to get together, to plan things, empowers the very supporters that you have. So like social media empowers the publisher, but now you can empower the person, the supporter, to actually go and make a difference in their community, because the app does 90% of the work, and it already knows who's in your community, and they know what time and what building you can organize things in. And give rides and match people up for rides. For example, there's many things. It can give you memes every day that you can share online.
That's pretty valuable. Yeah, I could see how. Well, so how would, I guess the memes, you would just have beneath it those little icons, Facebook, Twitter, and that kind of thing. You touch the icon and zip, it basically puts together your tweet for you, and, you add a couple of things like, yeah, and then, you tweet it.
Yeah, basically. But that automation, that little thing where it does 90% of the work, so you just do that one little final thing, that's the differentiator of an app versus like email.
So there aren't going to be very many Republicans in this race because we have a seated Republican in the race. I think that Bill Weld has announced, and I think there's one other guy who's announced. But more or less, it's all the Democrats. They're pulling out the long knives, carving each other up to see who's going to make it. Do you think this? You think this is an area where Democrats and Republicans are pretty equal? Do you think one has an advantage over the other in this particular sphere?
In the primary?
Yeah, no, I mean in the as far as app production goes.
That's an interesting question.
Because Republicans are generally considered to be behind the times when it comes to the internet stuff, but maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows? 4 years ago, I felt like Republicans were actually slightly ahead on some issues. Who knows? People thought net neutrality was going to be a huge thing, and the internet was against what the Republicans were doing, which is gutting it. But now, so far, there hasn't been much blowback from gutting it.
Yeah, every once in a while, you'll see some bitter post about it, net neutrality, and then it just goes away again. It doesn't doesn't really seem to bubble up or be particularly meaningful. The number is 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. Talking about the presidential run here and who's going to be the top dog right now. People are talking about Biden, but we know these things change. Who do you think is going to be the one that comes out? 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE as in Free Talk Live.
It's nail biting.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
If you're a parent, chances are you know all about the Spooky Truth books, with subjects ranging from shadowy fraternal organizations to mind-controlling TV shows. Kids can't get enough of this series of short, scary children's novels.
And Spooky Truth author K.L. Graves is joining us this morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, my kids just love these books. In just 4 years, you've put out 25 books. It came from Tower 7, Curse of the Chemtrails, The Zionist Who Cried Holocaust.
Now, this stuff has really been catching on. Over 40 million copies sold, so many bestsellers out there.
I've been thrilled. Before this series, I was self-publishing pamphlets and handing them out on the train. Now I get emails from teachers and parents all the time telling me that my books are all their kids can talk about.
Oh, well, it's true. My son used to hate to read. Now he's holed up in the basement with these Spooky Truth books all day and night. Says he never watches TV, doesn't even want tap water anymore. He just loves reading so much.
This is the Onion News Network.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. It's Mark with you.
Greg.
And Johnson.
You can call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about tonight. We have mostly been discussing this this article here from CNBC talking about Joe Biden, and not in a good way. Now, this isn't saying Biden's done anything bad or wrong. It's just talking about a website that says he's done things that are bad and wrong. I'll get to it here in a second, but I want to tell you about ForkFest 2019. ForkFest 2019 is a camping party that we're having out in Rogers Campground. Lots of people are coming. It's not all Free Talk Live listeners, but there's a lot of them. And it's from June 13th through the 18th. You can camp. You could have a hotel room. They've got one right on site. You can set up a little restaurant, a little booth where you serve food, or you can have things for people to do. It's whatever you want to do at ForkFest. If you want to connect with the others that are going, go to forkfest.party. That's forkfest.party and get connected. Going on with this article here about the website joebiden.info. And this website basically just lampoons Joe Biden and his propensity to sort of grope people. Excuse me. Biden has been under scrutiny after a number of women made allegations that he touched them in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. After those allegations surfaced, Biden pledged to be more respectful. But, the pledge basically said something to the effect of, Joe Biden's done nothing wrong, but we'll be more respectful. And, the article's sure to point out that Joe Biden is 76 years old. I think he's older than Trump.
Yeah, I think he's the oldest one in this race.
Right.
I think by a couple years.
Trump's the oldest president that's in history, and Biden proposes to be older. That doesn't... I don't know. I don't think for me, that's the reason that Biden and Sanders are out.
By the way, not to be ageist or anything, but I wonder if either Biden or Sanders wins, if we're going to have another election in 2024,
right, with
the same candidates, because they're only going to do one term. If you become 91 or 92, you might want to say, okay, I've had my one term.
Have we had a president in the United States die of age-related causes while in office? Has that happened?
It depends on, William Henry Harrison died from the flu while giving a cold while, giving a speech. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound like that's exactly age-related. No, I'd say no is the answer. There may be a death that some of them died of lead poisoning. I can tell you that much.
I'd like to see Ron Paul come back in the campaign.
Ron Paul knows that old guys shouldn't run. But so that's another funny thing. We were talking about sort of what makes campaigns work and what doesn't. And Ron Paul had one of the most successful presidential campaigns in U.S. history, and then followed it up with one that was even more successful. Then his son runs in 2016 and can't hold a candle. Like, just people aren't excited. They're just not excited. And I was kind of surprised, honestly. I thought that Rand Paul would be able to be inheriting the Ron Paul, voting train, but not so much.
When you see guys like Bernie Sanders and Ron Paul, which some people think are opposite sides of the political spectrum, but I don't, because they teamed up to audit the Fed. There's many things that they are very much against war and so on, right? When you see these two old guys and you have tons of young people just turning out to support them, you know that they're doing this for a reason, right? There's something energizing the people, and it's usually the policy. It's usually not the guy's hair, usually.
Right. Well, Bernie's known for his hair, but I don't imagine that the reason he got all the support he got was for his hair.
That old Doc Brown hair.
I kind of think that part of the Bernie Sanders thing is that we've got this conundrum surrounding healthcare and surrounding college debt. So, look, I'm for
Warren's jumping on that train. So.
Who's that?
Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, I'm sure they all are.
I think her more than others has made it into a campaign issue.
What, specifically college debt?
Yeah.
You see, you could get me to agree that the banks got a bailout, so the people who have loans from the banks for college debt should also get a bailout. I'm willing to, I'm willing to concede that.
What
However,
other loans?
What's that?
So yeah, but what other loans should be a bailout? I mean, I have a car.
I understand. You didn't buy a car during the you know what? The car does everything it said it was going to do. The college education does not. And these kids are fed a line. They're sent to a government school for 13 years. They're told basically every day of that government schooling, got to go on to college if you want to be successful. So they go on to college. They're not told you've got to do certain careers within the college spectrum in order to be successful. Otherwise, you have a giant boatload of debt that you're never going to work off, and you're basically entering serfdom. No one says that. So I would be fine with a bailout as long as we change some kind of system surrounding college so that these kids aren't, a whole generation enslaved in a kind of serfdom. Fine. I'm willing to give one in order to get the other, but no candidate's talking about it in that way.
I would even say there's a bigger system here, right?
Okay.
The corporate system.
Yeah.
Corporations, as you often libertarians say, are a creation of the government.
Yeah, they're construct of the government, sure.
And what are the top corporations today? Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, right? These companies are all tech companies. The thing is, people come to work for these corporations, but then they automate away a lot of the work, right? Facebook has one engineer for every million users.
Mm-hmm.
They don't employ that many people to serve the users.
Sure.
And so that's a very different capitalism that we had in the 1950s when you actually respected your workers, and they were a company man for 50 years. They got a pension, right? They supported on one paycheck an entire household. So things changed, and today's kids, even in the primary school, are being taught to work for these corporations, a bit like they were taught to work for the state in let's say USSR. Work for the state. Well, here it's going to be sit down for 10 hours and be quiet and learn to work for the corporation. And as a result, there's an ADHD overdiagnosis, and the kids are being overmedicated too, in my opinion.
It seems to be that they're handing out an awful lot of Ritalin in these classrooms, and I've heard people who have kids that are basically, the teachers don't know what to do with them. So they're like, well, he needs drugs.
It's an easy solution.
If you've got 25 kids in a class, yeah, it makes perfectly good sense that, that could be an issue. A lot of times this is just sort of growing up, and some kids are different than other kids. Some kids are strong-willed and hyperactive and all those sorts of things. So, well, it makes sense that the teacher would be frustrated and upset, but this is the problem with a one-size-fits-all monopoly organization.
Exactly. By the way, I don't want to say that the system we have in the United States is exactly like Soviet Russia, right? There, the state was the monopoly that had all the public schools, which we have public schools here, but
yes,
they had all these public factories. Here we have multiple, but we have corporations, Google, but also things, the means of production, right? The shirt that is being made, are owned by corporations mostly, and 51% of workers work for corporations. So it's still a system where giant sort of quasi
when you say
top-down.
51%, do they work for large corporations or just some entity that is organized?
Large, I believe. Okay. I don't know for sure. But I believe it's the large corporations, which is defined as 500 or more employees.
500 or more. That would be, the small business is supposed to be less than 500 employees. I can't even imagine how somebody calls that.
That's a lot more libertarian, the small business, right? Because that's a person or a family, and they really are in touch with what they actually need.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that in a more libertarian world that big companies wouldn't do as well because big companies collude with the state on many levels in order to keep themselves up top and the ones down on the bottom. I also think that in many cases, I think in many cases you're talking about with education is that college education is basically corporations socializing the cost of education of their employees onto the backs of the rest of us. And what's the point of that? The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450, free as in Free Talk Live. Or you can use the Discord lines at discord.freetalklive.com.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, capitalists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event. Even with coupon code FTL50. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTL50 for a discount.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with Reputation Defender. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with Reputation Defender. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771. For your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with Reputation Defender. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event. Even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISSparis.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you. Greg.
And Johnson.
Greg from New York. Thank you for visiting here on Free Talk Live. We appreciate having you in the studio.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure. It's the first time.
Yeah, check us out check out the AMP program. You go to amp.freetalklive.com and you can support what we do on Free Talk Live like Matt Perral has. Oh, man. French last name. Look at how many vowels are lined up there.
Normally it's an EAU, right? Is that the...
EAU. Yeah, so that would be an O sound. Perrault, I believe. Thank you, Matt, for amping Free Talk Live, and you can do so, too, by going to amp.freetalklive.com. We only use those funds to advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live. So if you want the ideas of freedom spread far and wide, then, well, that's the way to do it. amp.freetalklive.com. Let's go to Matthew calling in from Louisiana. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
So, the Yang app, does it enable communication with the campaign, or is it strictly the candidate talking at you?
Well, lovely question. We are working on so many features, and we're trying to prioritize. So the whole point of the app is to have people communicate with each other and not just the candidate talking at you. So, yeah, I think people should be able to submit questions. I think that's an excellent feature request that we should take into account.
Isn't it gonna degenerate like the comments section, though? I mean, the first rule of the internet is don't read the comments section.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I haven't been to enough Reddit AMAs to know how they vet the questions.
The thing is that sometimes your desire to keep the trolls out or the bots out just so overwhelms, the average user's ability to get through the security protocol. Like, I can't lay any comments on Breitbart because they use Discuss, and Discuss is convinced I tried to open up a Discuss account, and I can't talk to them and say, no, that was a mistake. Something else was going on. So I can't communicate to anybody. I just got banned off a major national radio station.
How'd you manage to do that?
I have no idea. I'm not sure why Gun Talk, Tom Gresham's not taking my calls anymore, but he's not.
Did you? I don't know. You didn't say anything threatening.
No, I never threaten radio talk show hosts because that's rude, and it's pointless.
Yeah, it would be pointless.
It kind of reminds me of those automated systems where there's no one really on the other line, but if you have a problem with Google Gmail, you might not be able to reach anybody.
That's true. Matthew, thank you for the call.
Yeah, call 1-800-NO service. Cow.
855-450-3733. Going on with the story from CNBC here about the Biden 2020 campaign and in general, and then sort of specifically about this parody site called JoeBiden.info, where more or less it looks like a campaign website, but then it quickly devolves into you seeing a bunch of pictures of Biden like groping different women and kids and female kids, and sometimes he combines it, other times he doesn't. So I kind of wonder, as it goes on, I would assume Joe Biden's campaign knows about it by now. The person wrote, I get thousands of Biden supporters coming to the site every day who fail to realize that this is a parody, asking for volunteer information, donation information, suggestions on how to handle the Anita Hill situation, or criticizing all men are created equal. No joke. The person posted screenshots to a popular pro-Donald Trump Reddit thread last month purporting to be from Biden supporters. I created the site before he launched his campaign, and the site garnered a fair amount of traffic from Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit, especially on April Fool's Day, the person said. I think these factors combined with good search engine optimization practices resulted in it ranking very well on Google and Bing. The person wrote that they haven't been paid to advertise the site, and that the only money contributed to the effort was a small amount spent purchasing the domain. The person who also has parody domains related to Senators Sanders, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker, the person said, but they noted the Biden parody has just been more viral.
Doesn't that kind of prove that Google isn't pushing these establishment candidates or Biden because clearly their search algorithm seems to have responded to the SEO properly,
Right. You might be able to claim that Google supports Trump from this information, but not much else, I wouldn't think. Is it beneficial to, many of the dozens of people who are running for the Democratic nomination? Yeah, I think it is. I think that you tear down the top guy, then somebody else has to fill the vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably going to, at least initially, benefit Sanders, Warren, Buttigieg, for whatever reason, has gotten some acclaim, but I don't know. I can't remember the last time a mayor got elected to the presidency.
You know what? Yeah, I remember Giuliani and Michael Bloomberg almost ran.
Yeah.
I'm from New York, so. But, it's interesting. The Democratic Party, just like the Republican, has, different wings, right? It's a tent with different poles.
Yep.
So the progressive wing has been very active, right? Since Bernie's election really energized the progressive.
Right. The progressives got ripped off in a terrible manner. And, I get to talk to, every week I go visit a friend who's in the nursing home, and he's a diehard Democrat. And he was just a Hillary supporter. Why? Because it was about time that a woman got it or something. It didn't even there was no even sense to it.
It's like this identity thing, yeah, with who is the person rather than the policy. But what's interesting is that there's sort of been the progressive wing has almost expected Bernie to just win the whole thing. And then Biden comes along and you get this bifurcation. So people who are older, right, tend to skew more conservative, or I should say establishment moderate.
Yep.
Right? And then you got people who are younger. Who is Bernie attracting is the younger voters, right? I don't know. I remember somebody said this online. They did a fact check of CNN's poll that Biden is trouncing Bernie. But the CNN poll actually skewed very much older. And they just discounted all the younger people as NA, not enough people.
Yeah, this is what libertarians are constantly doing within the Republican polls. They're saying things like, well, if they're only polling old people and this sort of thing. And
well, who has the landlines these days now?
It's true. Who has the landlines? I don't have one at my house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that who they poll? Is that they just call landlines?
In a lot of cases, yeah.
You would think that the
really bad
Democrats
methodology
would have figured out by now to not listen to the polls because, that's how you get surprised on election night with, Hillary lost.
The argument for the Democrats in that circumstance is that Hillary won by a margin that was similar to the polls. But
yes.
Or excuse me, Hillary got as many votes that were similar to the polls. It's just that because of the Electoral College,
right,
that Trump won, and it's true.
Yeah, but it was locally that was happening as well. I mean, they were in local election areas. They were reporting, well, Hillary is absolutely going to win in a particular area. So not just nationally,
right.
They were saying that on a local level, where on certain areas locally, she was destroyed and things went very much, opposite. There were some where it was close calls, right?
I think there was a lot of guys that voted for Trump that wouldn't tell their wives that they did. And I think that was probably what did her in, personally. But it was such a close election that you could have blamed it on anything. The color of one of the pantsuits that she wore. You could have just picked anything and blamed it because it was so close.
And also, the larger picture. I tend to do this, talk about the larger picture of the two-party system, okay? Why do we have that? Well, that's a mathematical almost outcome of our ballot, right? We just have simply a first past the post system. And that's basically the candidate with the plurality of the votes wins. And if we had a ranked voting system, like in Maine, for example,
right?
Or I think you told me this, that you like the approval vote,
right,
more than ranked.
But I don't know that I did, but there's approval voting, there's ranked voting, there's a variety of ways.
Quadratic voting.
What's that?
So quadratic voting is a very new voting experiment that came out that essentially
sounds hard. Don't forget the average voter's stupid.
It's the system is simple. The math behind it is not. Essentially what it does is it punishes ideologues. So essentially, you can vote. You can get one vote for a particular issue or candidate. I guess you get basically 100 votes unless you're voting for the same thing over and over again, in which case the cost of your vote increases exponentially. So you can either vote everything, all your votes for the same thing, you get 10 votes, or you spread them all out, you can get up to 100 votes. But what that does is it punishes ideology. I don't know exactly the details, but it's a new thing. Supposedly it worked fantastically.
I think I'll have to look up this quadratic voting to understand a little more clearly. The number is 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Let me ask you something. What are you doing when you put money in a 401k or IRA, or store jumper cables in your vehicle, or purchase health insurance? You're preparing. You're preparing to ensure you have enough money for retirement. You're preparing for when your car battery dies, or to have assistance paying a major unexpected medical bill. That all makes sense. The same goes for building a food storage plan. You're preparing for when emergencies or disasters strike and shelves go empty at your grocery store. The best way to prepare is with My Patriot Supply. They've helped 1 million hardworking Americans become more self-sufficient. My Patriot Supply sells hundreds of items, including dozens of emergency food kits, at mypatriotsupply.com. It could be an earthquake, a cyber attack freezing our banking system, or a disaster that shuts down our power grid for weeks. For all these emergencies and more, get your supplies and prepare today at mypatriotsupply.com. No more rushing to find empty store shelves because you're too late. Do it now so you're ready. mypatriotsupply.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,279, silver at $14.80, and Bitcoin is trading around $5,855. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, the American Civil Liberties Union on Tuesday blasted President Donald Trump's decision to pardon a former Army First Lieutenant convicted of killing an Iraqi prisoner, saying the move amounted to a presidential endorsement of a murder. Trump granted the pardon late Monday to Michael Bahena, an Oklahoma man who was sentenced to 15 years in 2009 for killing Ali Mansur Muhammad, a suspected al-Qaeda operative who was stripped naked for questioning before being shot. Bahena had long argued he acted in self-defense. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter had petitioned the White House for the pardon. Bahena was paroled in 2014 after serving less than 5 years of his sentence. Mansur was questioned in connection with a roadside bomb that killed 2 soldiers. The Free Thought Project points out the irony that Trump pardons a murderer while allowing Julian Assange to rot in prison. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices, with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. With news reports focusing on recent deaths in Israel and Gaza, it's valuable to enlarge the time period being examined. Israeli soldiers have been shooting Gaza men, women, and children every week over the past year. Minpress News reports Israeli forces have killed approximately 290 Gazans and have injured over 29,000 since they began their weekly Great March of Return protests on March 30th. A few additional Gazans died during the time period from earlier wounds inflicted by Israeli forces. Among those killed and maimed have been medics, women, children, and journalists. Approximately 126 Gazans have had legs and or arms amputated, and others have been permanently paralyzed. While Israeli governmental statements, often parroted by U.S. media, claim that Israel targets terror, the large majority of Gazans killed by Israeli forces have been civilians. During the same time period, Gazan resistance fighters have killed 6 Israelis, one of them Palestinian. It's difficult to provide a number for Israelis wounded during the time, since Israeli statistics for the injured include those suffering from panic attacks. The Saudi-led coalition kidnapped more than 170 Yemeni fishermen and seized their boats while they were fishing near the port city of Hodeida this past week. To demonstrate clearly that they pose no threat, the fishermen hung large white flags on the back of their boats and waved fish in the air as coalition military vessels approached their boats. Mohammed al-Hassani, head of the Forum of Tahama Fishermen, told Minpress News that, all told, 174 fishermen and 10 boats were abducted by Saudi-led forces. After a ceasefire agreement for the port city of Hodeida was reached in Sweden late last year, thousands of fishermen decided to take their small boats into deeper waters off of Hodeida's coast, but have faced arrest or even been the target of airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition. Meanwhile, the families of the kidnapped fishermen organized a protest, asking the coalition to release their loved ones. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Sources within the Vatican confirmed Tuesday that Pope Benedict XVI has dispatched an elite team of 6 bishops to sabotage leading contraceptive manufacturer Pfizer. Codenamed Conclave 6, the highly trained team of bishops will reportedly infiltrate the heavily guarded compound, detonate extremely powerful charges at key points within the factory, and then escape to a nearby safe house.
The Catholic Church can trust only the best with defending God's plan. Conclave 6 is the deadliest team of bishops I've ever laid eyes on.
The Pope denied rumors that a B team of needle-wielding priests had been deployed to a latex factory in New Jersey to poke tiny holes into thousands of Durex condoms. Locally, the best part of a gay 12-year-old's day is the half hour he spends eating lunch alone in a stairwell. Calling it his only respite from constant ridicule and mockery, 7th grader Ben McElroy says life doesn't get better than the moments he spends quietly laying out his lunch on a secluded staircase while the rest of his classmates are in the cafeteria.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Greg from New York visiting.
And Johnson.
So, Greg, you're here for the, I guess you're coming to see the Andrew Yang thing in like Dartmouth tomorrow, day after? I'm not even entirely sure.
Yeah, so, I'm a big fan of UBI. I've been calling into the show for years.
That's Universal Basic Income.
Universal Basic Income, the idea that everybody gets money instead of making sure they're poor first before they get means-tested welfare. Given the fact that we already have welfare, this would be something that essentially would give people the dignity to collect a check without actually
dignity
identifying as like disabled or something.
So I guess my question on UBI is I kind of think of it as a solution without a problem. Right? I see the lowest unemployment in U.S. history going on. Lowest unemployment in U.S. history going on at a given point. And, I mean, like it's been in my lifetime. 1969 was the last time we had unemployment as low as it is today. And we're proposing, and the UBI folks are proposing to give out free money to people. Can you reconcile that in my head for me? Like, why would we want to do that when
I think
things
that's a
are
good
working
point.
fine?
I think that's a really good point. The optics, I mean, you got to reconcile that, right? You've got almost full employment, as they say.
Yeah.
You know,
At this point, it's hard to imagine that somebody wants a job that doesn't have one. They may not have the job they want. I mean, I remember what it was like when I was 15 years old or 16 years old, maybe I was 17, I don't even remember, working at Burger King. It sucked. It was not the job that I wanted to do by any stretch of the imagination. But,
you may not get what you want.
It was nice having the extra money.
Yeah. So I think that's very important. But obviously, if you compare how people used to live in the 50s and how they live now, one person could support an entire household. The employer valued his work or her work. It was typically his work if the man was the breadwinner, bringing the... now, what happened was...
A lot of people... Well, there's some things that happen. I would first say that the 1950s came after the 1940s. And what happened in the 1940s was the most cataclysmic destruction of capital that the world had ever seen. We quite literally, used the means of production to create machines that destroyed the means of production of the other side. And essentially, the United States was left as the only place on the planet where that could make a washing machine.
That's right. Detroit was Motor City.
Yeah.
Because everyone else was bombed out. They couldn't create the cars.
Right. It took them 10 years to build the factory to be able to compete. And I mean, what Japanese cars looked like in the late 60s and early 70s? They were little rattle traps.
I remember, I think in the 30s, though, there was this big migration. John Steinbeck talks about this.
Yep.
Grapes of Wrath or, Of Mice and Men. There's this big exodus from the farm into the city.
Right.
And there was sort of this Dust Bowl also.
Right.
And it took 10 years to build the factories in the 30s in this country, in the United States. And I think that a lot of that was precipitated by automation. Okay, the combines, the machines. So if you look at farms before the 30s, there's many people working there. Oxen, now you have tractors, right? There's one or two people now running the farm. But back then, you had to have many people. And there were all these ideas about collectivizing the farm or doing something with socialism as well. But the idea was you needed people. Today, that calculus changes. And I think both capitalism and socialism are making this assumption that the employer values the employee enough that they're always going to pay them a living wage. I think that assumption needs to be questioned in the next 30, 40 years. And we need something to be in place to handle that demand shock. It might not happen today. Demand shock for human labor. Because human labor...
So a lack of demand. So a shocking lack of demand for human labor.
Yeah, a shocking lack of demand. And if that what are wages if not the price that we pay for human labor? And if human labor costs less, right? If today that surgeon is able to do the work of 10 surgeons and just faster, then surgeons get paid less, and so on and so forth. So we need something in place to take care of that.
One thing the AMA does, the American Medical Association does, is they restrict the amount of surgeons that are going and getting jobs. So they're basically functioning as a union in the sense that they restrict the amount of labor that's available for surgeons. But I think you're right. There's probably a moment in time when robots are going to be doing all the surgery, but probably pretty soon a lot of the surgery, and then the surgeon just has to step in, do something, and then, it's all done.
My hope is that the robots step in and start taking the role of, doing all the paperwork so that we can fire all the bureaucrats, because that would really bring costs down, so that instead of increasing costs by paying everyone a similar amount of money and putting them on a dole where the government can then start putting conditions on that, right? That's my fear with universal basic income, is that it creates this leverage point for the government to eventually start saying, well, if you don't do this, we're going to start taking that stipend from you, right? We're going to start not paying you a certain, that little amount that you're making now. We're going to say no. So that's my concern with universal basic income. But then also, I just think that it's putting more into the hands of the government rather than just saying, why don't you keep your income? I mean, why don't we instead of dialing up government, dial it down and start letting people have more opportunities to start their own businesses and let the market drive the innovation rather than just throwing money at the problem by stealing from other people.
Well, I agree with a lot of. I think anybody that listened to me on the show and in general knows I'm sort of a left libertarian. I think a lot of these solutions can be done in a voluntarist way. I mean, the companies that I have, Cubics, Intercoin, are essentially community-based, right? UBI done in a voluntarist way. Where the community has this currency that they can inflate gradually, but everyone knows it and decides to use it anyway, right? So there's ways to do it voluntary.
Okay.
But at the same time, what I'm saying is bringing attention to the idea of a UBI is important. And I don't know if Andrew Yang is going to win the presidency. That depends on like how things go.
Right. This is, well, I mean, at this point, you're approaching it as though he's an issue candidate, and he kind of is purporting himself to be an issue candidate. He may have a shot. He's not. I mean, he's got the presidential stuff lined up. He's good looking. He's vaguely ethnic, but not ethnic. He's young. He's got. He's reasonably tall by the looks of it. I mean, he's got these things down. I think that if you were to cast a president on television, Andrew Yang looks like that guy that could play that role.
We just drew his face on a giant mural in New York City by the Battery Tunnel. There's an Andrew Yang mural now. I was up till 6 a.m. actually working on it.
Do you have the ability to do murals? Tell me.
Well, the face was actually done by a friend of mine. So there's a guy that works with us.
Yeah.
And he brought his friend from Baruch College, and he's very artistically minded. And so he drew the face. I did the text.
Wow. And so this was like spray painted or what?
It was all paint that we had bought from Home Depot.
Wow. I was thinking that maybe you stuck a big sticker up there or something. Let's go to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, I just want to... Did I bring up that here in Albuquerque about 3 years ago?
You have brought up Albuquerque in the past, yes.
So we have many Chinese massage parlors.
Chinese massage parlors in Albuquerque. All right, where's this going?
Well, they busted them for human trafficking.
What? They busted them for human trafficking?
Yeah, they were forcing the girls into prostitution.
How would they do that?
Well, the thing is, they were reporting that they could get sex for money plus a massage. At first, they were arresting the girls, and it turned out they were forced into it.
So here's a question for you, Sarah. Do you think if these girls had been receiving a universal basic income, that they wouldn't have been forced into this profession?
Well, I mean, they're foreign girls. They're actually Chinese citizens looking for work.
I imagine they are.
I think they might have been illegal, so they don't qualify for universal basic income.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Sarah. Appreciate it. 855-453. What? Free Talk Live.
Ike was such a sweet, lovable animal, and people would want to pet him, and they'd come up and they'd get close to him, and it would be this instant, oh! My dad didn't want to touch him. It's like, ooh, get the stinky dog away from me.
Even after we'd give her a bath, she would still stink.
Very stinky, both bad breath and bad gas. I asked the vet, and he said some dogs are just stinky.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients convinced me that it was definitely worth trying. After about a week, he started smelling normal. My husband and I were really kind of astonished.
Dinovite is nutrition.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
I can definitely say that I have found the best cryptocurrency wallet. Certainly the best named one. I'm Mark Edge, and I love the Edge wallet. I've been using it for the last few months. You can buy, sell, trade, and hold your cryptocurrency securely. I trust my holdings of all the major cryptocurrencies to Edge wallet, and you should too. No long phrases to memorize, just a username and password. Secure your freedom with Edge wallet. Get it now on Apple or Android in the App Store or at edge.app.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, Mark at Free.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Free to call in and talk live about whatever's on your mind tonight. Remember? 855-450-3733. It's Mark with you.
Greg.
And Johnson.
Anypay.global is, well, it's a site that you can use to get point-of-sale software for your business, for cryptocurrency. So if you've got a retail business and you want to take cryptocurrency, which you should, because that'll open up a whole new market for you. People who spend cryptocurrency tend to be fiercely loyal because they don't have other places to go. Plus, you're liable to get a news story out of it. If you just go to anypay.global, and they've got a site, actually, it's helpmetakebitcoin.com, helpmetakebitcoin.com, and you can get set up. It takes, if you have a cryptocurrency wallet, it takes quite literally a couple of minutes to get set up. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. Let's go to Elijah calling in from Kansas City. Elijah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how are you?
All's well. What's on your mind?
I want to talk about Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, you remember Mr. Rogers?
Fred Rogers.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Rogers.
Are you his neighbor?
I am his neighbor, yeah. Live right next door.
Okay, go ahead and talk about him, Elijah.
That sounds swell.
I remember Mr. McPhee.
Sometimes I watch, and I think to myself, damn, what it would be like to caress that old wrinkly face, you know?
You know he's dead, right?
Oh, wait, is he really?
Yes.
Oh.
Sadly.
Well, I mean, even if he's dead, no one's going to know that I'm picking up his corpse and caressing his skull, right?
They wouldn't.
Oh, that's not necessarily true. Grave robbers get caught all the time.
Is this about it, Elijah? You at the end of this?
No, I have one more thing to say.
Okay, I'm ready. I got a dump button, too.
I think they should do a reboot of Mr. Rogers.
They are.
Called Mr. Rogers Visits a Prostitute.
Okay, we got it. Actually, they are doing a reboot of Mr. Rogers. Tom Hanks is going to play Mr. Rogers. And of the people who can pull it off, I think he can.
Is it a movie or is it a
I think it's
TV
a movie,
show?
yeah. You could look it up and get more information on it. I'm not exactly well-versed in these things.
I think that gentleman should purchase himself a button-down V-neck sweater.
I think that gentleman is probably just cranking us for lots of fun. Johnson, I see you brought in some show prep, and frankly, I haven't had a chance to go over it here. You got something you like?
Sure. Well, I only brought in one, so that kind of narrows it down. So let me pull it up.
Over 150 riot employees walk out to protest forced arbitration and sexist culture?
That is not the one that I brought.
Okay.
That's... I think in Google that happened.
I have one that is, the worst possible hot button issue that happened in Georgia today.
Oh, boy.
I'm not even going to mention it.
We're talking the state of Georgia?
Yeah, the state of Georgia. I don't know if you're in the new and improved group, but I want you to say go on that story before I actually bring it up.
Do it.
Because, yeah.
Go ahead. Whatever it is.
It's talk radio hell if I bring that up.
I understand.
Okay.
Bring it up.
Then I'm going to bring it up. This story is from Slate. So Georgia just criminalized abortion. Women who want to terminate their pregnancies would receive life in prison.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. So on Tuesday, Georgia Republican Governor Brian Kemp signed a fetal heartbeat bill that seeks to outlaw abortion after about 6 weeks. The measure, HB 481, is the most extreme abortion ban in the country, not just because it would impose severe limitations on the women's reproductive rights, but also because it would subject women who get illegal abortions to life imprisonment and the death penalty. The primary let me speak with my mouth full.
Republicans, this is the reason that libertarians don't trust you. When you get control of a state, Republicans, this is the crap you do instead of all that fiscal,
lowering taxes,
right? All the fiscal conservative stuff we're talking about. Look, there are states all across the United States that are controlled by Republicans, and there are states all across the United States that are controlled by Democrats. If you want to know what it looks like if the Republicans or Democrats get in charge, don't look no further than Georgia for Republicans, or I don't know, New York State for the Democrats, or there's a variety of them out there you could look.
And this is also why Republicans lose and can't get hold in other areas, because this is the type of thing that happens under extreme Republican control.
Now, I think my position on this is somewhat nuanced in so much as I do believe that life begins at the point when a sperm hits an egg. However, I also believe that crime and poverty and all these things are created by the unwanted. So if the mother doesn't want this child, why do I want to fight and do all kinds of stuff in order to get this child some life so that it can do what? Cause problems.
So, and mine is also nuanced. I believe in, obviously a science-based solution and what I would call fetal relocation, and saying I would say that I am in some respects pro-life. Right? I'm pro-life because I don't want to see any sort of ending of life. But what's the natural outcome of taking a fetus out of a womb? It dies. Now,
especially if you take it out in pieces.
Well, especially if you take it out in pieces. But that there are procedures where that doesn't necessarily have to happen, right? It can be.
They've got artificial wombs now.
Yeah, they've got artificial wombs.
They have a sheep in one.
They do have procedures that are capable of removing a fetus intact, right? But the purpose of that, in some cases, not all, obviously, clearly there are pretty brutal abortion styles, but there are some where it's, especially the ones that are considered late term, right, where it is, removing a fetus and just letting it suffocate and die that way, right, would be pretty inhumane. And so the actual sort of the termination of life of that later stage fetus is done in a more humane fashion in those cases, right? So I would say that just blanket a blanket ban on it, if we were to still allow, that kind of like a removal, right? Like, let's say we said, abortions are banned, you're not allowed to kill anymore, but you were able to relocate the fetuses. Well, I would say that I would support a sort of a financial incentive to, if you want to save these things, then start investing money. Start investing in the technology for fetal relocation. And
why aren't the Republicans standing out
in vitro adoption? Whereas the adoption in the Republicans, you don't see a whole lot of Republicans adopting kids, going crazy adopting the unwanted.
Right. Why aren't they helping these girls get adoptions set up in front of these things and in front of these abortion clinics rather than just protesting? Right. I don't really understand.
And I'd also like to see that window for adoption start happening earlier, because again, if fetal relocation were a possibility, right, and artificial wombs were more of a scientific reality than they already currently are, then you could see adoptions happen before a fetus has even come to term.
Yeah, what George is doing here sounds more like a pathway to crime, poverty, and institutionalization than anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of more details here, but yeah.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. As in Free Talk Live.
We all have heard about the benefits of fish oils, but what about the presence of heavy metals, PCBs, dioxins, furans, and other contaminants found in fatty tissues of fish? GCNteam.com recognizes this risk and offers IFOS certified tested omega-3 fatty acids. EPA, DHA insist on IFOS omega-3 fatty acid certification. Get the best at GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203.
Bacon lovers, we ship free. Try our amazing bacon. No refrigeration required. Proprietary value-added packaging provides 10-year shelf life and protects the leanest, thickest, center-cut, fully cooked bacon in America today. Ready to eat right from the pouch or warm and serve. Savory and delicious. Wholesale price for your everyday use. Order today at readytoeatbacon.com. readytoeatbacon.com.
Don't worry about things you can't control. Isn't that what they always say? But it's about impossible to avoid worrying about what's going on these days. The government has used the war on guns, the war on drugs, and the war on terrorism to tear our Bill of Rights to shreds. But you can fight back. The 10th Amendment Center has proven it, racking up major victories. For example, when the U.S. government claimed authority in the NDAA to have the military kidnap and detain Americans without trial, the nullifiers got a law passed in California, declaring the state's refusal to ever participate in any such thing. Their latest project is offnow.org, nullifying the National Security Agency. They've already gotten model legislation introduced in California, Arizona, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas, meant to limit the power of the NSA to spy on Americans in those states. We'd be fools to wait around for the U.S. Congress or courts to roll back Big Brother. Our best chance is nullification and interposition on the state level. Go to offnow.org, print out that model legislation, and get to work nullifying the NSA. The hero Edward Snowden has risked everything to give us this chance. Let's take it. Offnow.org.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, If you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. That's what we do here at Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you. Greg.
And Johnson.
Greg from New York sitting here on Free Talk Live. Appreciate you making the drive up. Guess you're in New Hampshire for the Andrew Yang rally thing.
And the trees. Lots of trees.
There are lots of trees. New Hampshire's got trees and hills so that you can see the trees as they go up the hills. And when you're at the top of the hill, you can see them as they go down and then up the other next hill. Yeah, we got trees. There's no doubt about it. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Johnson, apparently the state of Georgia is proposing or has mandated, outlawed basically abortion after a heartbeat.
Right.
And so that's like 6 weeks?
Yep. The bill says, yep, after about 6 weeks. Yep.
Okay. So more or less, abortion's illegal after 6 weeks. In a lot of cases, young ladies don't even know that they're pregnant in the first 6 weeks.
Right. So it says here the primary purpose of HB 481 is to prohibit doctors from terminating
So
any...
HB, so this is not passed.
Apparently it was passed, or at least that's what the way the article title has made it sound.
All right.
That it happened. Is to prohibit doctors from terminating any pregnancy after they can detect embryonic or fetal cardiac activity, which typically occurs at 6 weeks gestation. But the bill does far more than that. In one sweeping provision, it declares unborn children are a class of living, distinct person that deserves full legal recognition. Thus, Georgia law must recognize unborn children as natural persons, not just for the purposes of abortion, but as a legal rule. And I should say that this House bill, I think while it has gone through government, it doesn't become enacted into law until January 1st, 2020.
And they probably have to, there's going to be, a whole bunch of lawsuits surrounding it too.
I'm guessing. But, who knows if it's already gone through, it may be unstoppable at this point. So it says here, the radical revision of Georgia law is quite deliberate. The bill confirms that fetuses shall be included in population-based determinations from now on, because they are legally humans and residents of the state.
Do we have to do census for babies now? For infants? Embryos? I don't even know what to call them.
Apparently, but this article brings up some even more complicated issues than that.
Okay.
But it's not clear whether the bill's drafters contemplated more dramatic consequences of granting legal parenthood to fetuses. For instance, as Georgia appellate attorney Andrew Fleischman has pointed out, the moment this bill takes effect on January 1st, 2020, the state would be illegally holding thousands of citizens in jail without bond. That's because under HB 481, pregnant inmates' fetuses have independent rights, including the right to due process. Can a juvenile attorney represent an inmate's fetus and demand its release? If not, why? It's an egregious due process violation to punish one human for the crimes of another. If an inmate's fetus is a human, how can Georgia lawfully detain it for a crime it did not commit?
So I find this endlessly fascinating, right?
Right.
And this is actually a very divisive issue. So I don't want to really, I don't know enough. And the things I do know, I could see sort of people on both sides, reasonable people saying, okay, I believe this or I believe that. Two things. I just want to say, one is that the history of Christianity has changed, right? Attitudes towards abortion have changed even in the Christian religion.
Yeah.
Certainly in Judaism, in Christianity, and in Islam, there's different opinions about...
And there's different sects of all those.
That's right. So that's number one. So to say it's only a Christian way, this way or that way, is not necessarily historically accurate. But more, I have this interesting question, and I just want to put a question out there and sort of maybe discuss it. It's like, okay, what about before conception. Okay, so we're talking about contraception.
Okay,
so if it takes the state, you're the state, and it takes you more money to raise the child and take care of it until it's 18 with the public schools and everything.
Right.
And wouldn't it be a smarter idea just without the moral question of just subsidizing the condoms for the people who can't afford them? Just that the condom is much cheaper.
I don't think people.
The 18 years of subsidy.
I can't imagine there's too many people out there that can't afford condoms. However, I don't have a particular problem with handing out condoms. And you're just talking about, pieces of rubber. It seems to be the argument against that from the fundamentalist Christian side is, hey, you shouldn't be talking to my kid about sex. I talk to my kid about sex. The Catholic side appears to be like, well, it's God's will whether sperm meets eggs, and I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. Really, it's God's will when a goldfish breeds with another goldfish too. I mean, God's really busy with this whole making sure that eggs get fertilized thing, and I don't know, like it's.
I remember like Rush Limbaugh, like 7 years ago or 4 years ago, he was like, oh, why should we subsidize this contraception as part of the health bill? He was really indignant about that. I'm like, dude, you want to save money? Of course you subsidize contraception, because on the other side, you're going to spend much more, right? On the actual, as we said, person. Right?
I say you mandate contraception. You get those, what are those things that the ladies get that...
Depo-Provera.
You give them the depots for if they want to get their check. And then... that way, if you can't take care of getting your own money, if you can't handle your own life and you have to have money, then why in the heck would you be having a child? So there you go. I'm with you on that. Let's go to, I think Steve's got some questions here on UBI. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live. Steve, can you hear me now? How about now?
Steve.
Let's put Steve on hold. Must be the, maybe it's the board up. Maybe there's something going on. I don't know. 855-450-3733. That's
UBI, right? Unborn baby infant, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, I go on with the other questions that Mr. Fleischman has regarding the problems with making embryos people.
So there are definitely more interesting implications of this particular new bill. Goes on to say here, the most startling effect of HB 481 may be its criminalization of women who seek out unlawful abortions or terminate their own pregnancies. An earlier Georgia law imposing criminal penalties for illegal abortions does not apply to women who self-terminate. The new measure, by contrast, conspicuously lacks such a limitation. It can and would be used to prosecute women. Misoprostol, a drug that treats stomach ulcers but also induces abortions, is extremely easy to obtain on the internet, and American women routinely use it to self-terminate. It is highly effective in the first 10 weeks of pregnancy. Anti-abortion advocates generally insist that they do not want to punish women who undergo abortions, but HB 481 does exactly that. Once it takes effect, a woman who self-terminates will have, as a matter of law, killed a human, thereby committing murder. The penalty for that crime in Georgia is life imprisonment or capital punishment.
Delightful.
Yeah.
One question I have is, like, if you really in your heart believe that as soon as conception happens, that person is a person, right, with full rights, wouldn't you invest in, like, preventing miscarriages? Like, isn't that as bad as an earthquake killing a lot of people? Like, millions of people are being killed by miscarriages.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I do believe that life begins at conception. However, I don't have that great of a value for life from that standpoint. I think that the government shouldn't go blowing people up, but at the same time, it's the way people are raised is really important. And if you're dealing with somebody who's unwanted, the rearing is probably not going to be that great.
So in the moment you brought that up, it's actually mentioned in the next paragraph. HB 481 would have consequences for women who get abortions from doctors or miscarry. A woman who seeks out an illegal abortion from a healthcare provider would be a party to murder, subject to life in prison. And a woman who miscarries because of her own conduct, say using drugs while pregnant, would be liable for second-degree murder, punishable by 10 to 30 years imprisonment.
There we have it.
Prosecutors may interrogate women who
That is going to
miscarry
happen, yes.
to determine whether they can be held responsible. If they find evidence of culpability, they may charge, detain, and try these women for the death of their fetuses. So they are trying to protect them. So there you go.
So these women are basically going to try to abort at the 11th hour right before the 6 weeks, right? Just to not go to jail.
Well, I guess that would have to be... But I think it doesn't matter.
For miscarriage. For miscarrying later.
Yeah,
they'd have to
possibly.
prove that a heartbeat occurred, I would think.
Yeah.
But the drug thing, if you were just doing crack and your baby, self-aborted or whatever, you'd be in big trouble. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. Themorganreport.com. Themorganreport.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Fellow Patriots, my name is Todd Savage, founder of BlackRifleRealEstate.com. Like you, I was a prisoner of the alt-left sanctuary state until one day I chose to lead my family to freedom. Today we live on a sustainable 20-acre homestead where we shoot, hunt, garden, and homeschool our children without the tyranny of the nanny state looking over us. If you're ready to flee the city to the freedom of Idaho or Montana, our Black Rifle Real Estate team is here to help. Go to BlackRifleRealEstate.com. That's BlackRifleRealEstate.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number, 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. Let's go right to the phones, guys. We've got Steve. I think we've got him fixed here for the call. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi.
Hi.
I've got thoughts on the UBI, if you want to go back to that subject.
Yes, I do. I want to go to all the subjects, but if you want to talk about UBI, sure. We've got Greg in here.
Absolutely.
He's a self-proclaimed UBI expert.
Enthusiast.
All right, I think there's two sides of the coin on UBI. One, it's going to be bad because if they implement it, we all get this $1,000 a month, and the prices of bread, the prices of rent, everything will go up over the next 10 years. What if they revoke it? Now we're all screwed. On the other side of that coin, UBI could be used as a stepping stone toward a net zero economy. If you understand what net zero economy is.
Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, you're going to tell me what that is.
All right, say a piece of automation to make Snickers bars costs $1 million.
Yep.
The first Snicker bar that's made cost $1 million.
Right.
By the millionth Snicker bar made,
it's
they
$1.
each cost $1. And by your 100 millionth Snicker bar, they're
10
each
cents.
a penny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got it?
Yep.
So make the statement again then, now that I understand what a net zero economy is. Steve?
I think the phone service went to zero.
Yeah, he's
he's still there, maybe.
Yeah, he's still on the line. Well,
Steve, move to a window.
Who knows? So, what was his first point? Can you address that?
So, I think he's like Act 1 and 2, right? Act 1 is there is inflation. And from what he said, I wasn't really sure if he said the prices will go up anyway, regardless of UBI, kind of like how health insurance prices went up regardless of whether there was Obamacare or a different private insurance market that's like kind of private.
Right.
Things go up anyway because the government money goes down, right, in price.
Well, the presumption is that there'll be more money chasing the same amount of goods, so price would then necessarily go up.
Right, because a lot of things are priced, one market signal is how much can people afford?
Exactly. Well,
so
we do know this. Everybody's buying food now. Right? There's not a person who goes, well, food's too expensive, so I'm just going to stay hungry and die.
Unless you're in college.
Yeah, if you could convince me that somehow UBI, with all the other programs were going to go away, right? The ones where we tell people, because I believe that in order to, that good decisions, and like I'm all about good decisions result in good things. But we don't get good decisions without experience, and we don't get experience without having made bad decisions. So I think that bad decisions are an integral part, the yin and the yang, as it were, of, we have to have bad decisions. We have to, at the very least, see other people make bad decisions in order to have those. So if you were to hand out, say, $1,000 is a number I've heard, but eliminate all the free government cheese and the WIC and,
Well, Yang makes it a choice, actually. You can opt into it, but then you give up the government benefits. So it's either or.
Right.
That's Yang's proposal for now.
And I imagine that some of these government benefits are well above $1,000 in value, so some people would stick on those things. But the value of those is largely you can't make bad decisions with them. There's some kind of the EBT card, I guess, that some people can buy cigarettes with it or something, so there's some aspect of bad decision making. But I mean, I'm incensed at the notion that somebody's spending my tax dollars on cigarettes. But they could just as easily spend it on lobster and steak if they wanted to, I guess. And it seems to me they should probably be buying ramen noodles or, the similar. So if you just give somebody $1,000, they can go make some bad decisions, like, I don't know, buy heroin with it instead of something else. But you have to hold them to those bad decisions for anything to work.
Right. So there's like two things about this, right? One is the bad decision is made, and it depends on the frequency of the UBI. If you're getting a UBI
basic income
so like universal basic income every day, you may make a bad decision today. You may blow it all tomorrow in a poker game, but you can't blow tomorrow, next week's money. So at some point,
so it come weekly.
If it comes weekly, so the more frequently it comes, the quicker you're going to learn that at some point your decisions you're gonna buy that food. That's one.
Right.
But it's more deeper than that. It actually, I think, goes the other way. the other way. So studies show that people who don't have enough money, they literally have lower IQ points not necessarily intrinsically, but because they have to worry about so much stuff.
Right, their brains are just working on about worry. Yeah,
they're worried. They can't have people running their errands for them. Okay, they don't have the money. It's like a guy with a small poker stack. You can actually take less decisions and take less risks than a guy with a large poker stack. Because that guy, well, he can make some mistakes, and then finally he hits it, right? And of course, if you're loaded or you have a big support system, then people can bail you out. Banks can bail you out. In fact, our president has been bailed out several times by his dad, by banks, etc. So definitely, if you're in that position, you have a support system. If you don't, then having a support system for everybody actually improves their decisions, if you believe these studies.
Okay, so a support system improves decision-making for everyone. All right. I suppose there's the possibility that this is...
Or at least on net.
This is the case. I mean, addictive drugs are so prevalent and have been for so long, I find it difficult to imagine that somehow people are just going to straighten up. But maybe...
Look, we're talking about this at a time when there's an opioid epidemic in the United States, and they have jobs. People have jobs, and they're laid off of the jobs, and it's especially the men after 2008 with the crash, okay? A UBI would actually decrease the amount of dependency the laid off people have, or the depression. You know how many women are over medicated, or I should say 1 in 4 women, middle-aged women in the United States, is on an antidepressant. 1 in 4.
How are you going to pay for it? I mean, this has to be the biggest question. Where is this money going to come from?
The 1% of the 1%.
Women. What was that thing about Bernie Sanders and the writing the rape stories? Women, they want to be raped? God, that was glorious.
So, what is that medicine? I forgot. When you have like the tiniest like Avogadro number molecule?
Yeah, what is that? Fentanyl.
No. I forgot. There's like instead of doing the traditional medicine, homeopathy.
Yep.
So I was just going to make the joke that the 1%, the less percent, the more money you get. Right? If you get the 0.001%, they're going to pay for everything. No. So Andrew Yang proposes a value-added tax, for example.
Okay. That's on top of everything else that we have.
Right. But remember, we are a person who opts into UBI under Yang's proposal would not be getting the means-tested welfare stuff. So, for example, if they identify as disabled, right? Yang talks about this in an interview with Ben Shapiro, actually, funny enough, because he sort of sits with people on the left and on the right. So, in a fiscal conservative world, he points out, somebody could identify as disabled, and they have two choices. They can either believe they're really disabled, in which case they're not screwing the government, they're not committing fraud or anything.
Right.
They're really disabled. But think about that mindset. You identify as a disabled person who...
That's bad.
Right. They might turn down a job because they might be considered able-bodied.
Right.
And lose everything. Under a UBI, that person wouldn't be turning down jobs. So how can we afford it? How can we pay for it? The fact is these resources exist in society. Everyone needs the food now. Right? The question of how we... diverting money, each transaction is a vote. So what we're doing by diverting money to people, to everybody, is essentially saying, look, we're going to vote more heavily for necessities first. Food, clothing, and then things that are not necessities will follow later.
Wouldn't it be nice if Finland's UBI actually worked this way? Because the Finland UBI experiment does not work the way that Yang...
It was disastrous, yeah.
In part, they didn't remove the conditional benefits that they offer there. So in other words, like for child welfare benefits, someone who was on that UBI still had to apply and go through a separate process for those welfare benefits as well. So that sort of disincentive to work still exists in the Finland UBI system.
And I just want to say that a lot of conservatives who support Milton Friedman with the negative tax, okay? The negative tax is basically UBI with more bureaucracy. Whereas basically, like, you have to file your tax, and then if you make below a certain amount, they make it up for you.
Oh, they still, the Republicans already like this. They like the idea of an income of basically welfare coming through the filing of your taxes. And I think the reason, I don't know why they choose to do that, but that's the way they do it. They're the head of household and earned income
it's
tax.
Exactly like what I said earlier. They salivated the idea of having control over money that they can take away from people if you're not acting in the moral way that they so decide,
Well,
right?
And I think that cuts to the point of mistrusting people. And I think maybe after the break we can talk about that.
Sure.
855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE. We can take your calls. You can also call in on our Discord lines. You go to discord.freetalklive.com. You can download the Discord app there. And we've got call-in rooms. You can use those. You'll sound great, as you'll see here shortly. It's discord.freetalklive.com.
Everyone knows even good people fall on hard times. Your credit cards get maxed out, and you get behind on your taxes. Unfortunately, the IRS is not as understanding, and they won't stop until they collect. They have the power to take your paycheck, freeze your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk. It's simply not worth it to take on the IRS by yourself. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. When you call, be sure to ask about the Fresh Start Initiative. It's a special IRS debt assistance program that could save you thousands, even tens of thousands if you qualify. Optima will immediately provide you with a team of professionals who will fight to protect you from the IRS, ensuring you get the best possible outcome. The Better Business Bureau has awarded them an A+ rating, and you will too. So put the hard times behind you and call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-890-0144. 800-890-0144. 800-890-0144.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,279, silver at $14.80, and Bitcoin is trading around $5,855. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, the American Civil Liberties Union on Tuesday blasted President Donald Trump's decision to pardon a former Army First Lieutenant convicted of killing an Iraqi prisoner, saying the move amounted to a presidential endorsement of a murder. Trump granted the pardon late Monday to Michael Bahena, an Oklahoma man who was sentenced to 15 years in 2009 for killing Ali Mansur Muhammad, a suspected al-Qaeda operative who was stripped naked for questioning before being shot. Bahena had long argued he acted in self-defense. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter had petitioned the White House for the pardon. Bahena was paroled in 2014 after serving less than 5 years of his sentence. Mansur was questioned in connection with a roadside bomb that killed 2 soldiers. The Free Thought Project points out the irony that Trump pardons a murderer while allowing Julian Assange to rot in prison. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices, with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. With news reports focusing on recent deaths in Israel and Gaza, it's valuable to enlarge the time period being examined. Israeli soldiers have been shooting Gaza men, women, and children every week over the past year. Minpress News reports Israeli forces have killed approximately 290 Gazans and have injured over 29,000 since they began their weekly Great March of Return protests on March 30th. A few additional Gazans died during the time period from earlier wounds inflicted by Israeli forces. Among those killed and maimed have been medics, women, children, and journalists. Approximately 126 Gazans have had legs and/or arms amputated, and others have been permanently paralyzed. While Israeli governmental statements, often parroted by U.S. media, claim that Israel targets terror, the large majority of Gazans killed by Israeli forces have been civilians. During the same time period, Gazan resistance fighters have killed 6 Israelis, one of them Palestinian. It's difficult to provide a number for Israelis wounded during the time, since Israeli statistics for the injured include those suffering from panic attacks. The Saudi-led coalition kidnapped more than 170 Yemeni fishermen and seized their boats while they were fishing near the port city of Hodeida this past week. To demonstrate clearly that they pose no threat, the fishermen hung large white flags on the back of their boats and waved fish in the air as coalition military vessels approached their boats. Mohammed al-Hassani, head of the Forum of Tahama Fishermen, told Minpress News that all told, 174 fishermen and 10 boats were abducted by Saudi-led forces. After a ceasefire agreement for the port city of Hodeida was reached in Sweden late last year, thousands of fishermen decided to take their small boats into deeper waters off of Hodeida's coast, but have faced arrest or even been the target of airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition. Meanwhile, the families of the kidnapped fishermen organized a protest, asking the coalition to release their loved ones. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Caitlin Taggart was a beautiful, lively girl who loved laughing and playing outside, but all that changed at the age of 12. Caitlin slipped into a persistent vegetative state, confining her almost entirely to her bed and Facebook.
She doesn't even have basic motor functions anymore. We literally have to drag her to the car to drive her to school in the morning.
She's totally unresponsive when we talk to her. Her eyes just roll back in her head.
Caitlin, honey, it's your dad.
With no hope that their daughter would ever recover, the Taggarts decided to seek legal permission to end Caitlin's life.
It is the most difficult decision we've ever had to make, but we just keep reminding ourselves that the real Caitlin is already gone. That's just her body texting.
We give her one painless injection, and that's it. Her eyes may flutter a bit, or she may murmur, "Are you for real killing me right now?"
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live on the airwaves tonight if it's between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time. No matter where you are in the world, you can call into Free Talk Live 365 days a year, and you can talk about whatever is on your mind, because that's what we do. It's Mark with you.
Greg. And Johnson.
Greg from New York visiting here to going up to the Andrew Yang rally tomorrow or the day after?
There's one tomorrow. There's one day after. Andrew Yang has so many rallies in New Hampshire. I think he almost lives here.
You're going to be yanging it up. All right, let's go to the phones. Here we got Dan calling in from Maine. Dan, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thanks. I'd like to present the argument for the traditional family.
All right.
They are being badly cheated. I will define them as a father who's working, the mother who is produced the children, risked her life to do it, and is raising the children. They are losing the money that the mother could be out working, say about 20, just as a low ball estimate, and that the children are costing them money, let's say about $10,000 per child, so two children would be $20,000 for the cost. So they are losing, as a rough quantitative analysis, on the order of $40,000 per year for doing the most important job of all, creating children, raising them. So if you want to comment on that.
Well, I mean, but what do you have a proposed solution for it? I mean, obviously,
yes,
nations want to have children produced, but me as an individual, I don't particularly benefit from the next generation. I'm going to be.
I think you do. I think you do, because for one thing, you may reincarnate, and for another thing.
Okay, I hadn't expected you to go that direction, Dan. All right.
But I'll give you the argument. I know you're wondering about the how to pay for it, right? Is that what it is?
Well, I don't know what you're paying for at this point.
You're paying for people.
Tell us what your solution is.
Yeah.
Okay, my solution is I have to present the fundamental fiscal principle first, and that is this, that you can use fiat money to produce wealth without inflation. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples of that. Suppose the government, suppose we find there is gold on government land by a ground penetrating radar or something.
All right.
And they use fiat money to pay for the mining. Well, the gold can provide more than enough backing for the fiat money. So this is a clear example. Another one is that Hitler, and I hate to bring him up, and I don't think it was his idea, but he used fiat money to pay for the development of infrastructure of Germany before the war, and as a result, Germany had a thriving economy. If you use the fiat money to bring in wealth, it can be done in a way that there is no inflation. So what we would be doing is by helping these people out more financially, is raising more healthy children. This is an investment that I think would bring back wealth. I think money is more an accounting thing. It is the resources that is critical, not the money.
So I like that you focus on the family, right? I think a lot of times we lose track of sort of human values. And Andrew Yang talks about this a lot. I mean, focusing on humanity first, right? Or there's a big family values argument to be made the Republican right. Yeah. What are your kids? They're being put in public school. What about you taking care of the kids? Right. So, in fact, some of the conversations we're having, I think, are exactly backwards when we say women earn 70 cents on the dollar with the man. Okay. And so the conclusion is lean in, spend more time at work, and earn that dollar, right? But perhaps the conclusion should be the opposite, that the man should actually take a page from the woman and actually spend less time at work and more time raising his children. And he would be able to do that, right, if there was some sort of safety net. So I think the American electorate really responds to, people talking about their actual issues and problems. Now, you're talking about if we spend the money correctly, like any investment, and we generate more value for everybody, like, FDR makes the interstate highway system, and that leads to, you don't have to go to Hitler. I mean, FDR built miles and miles of roadway.
Eisenhower got the credit for that. Either way.
So either way, we've got, and so, yeah, that leads to trucking, and that leads to logistics and McDonald's, right? Well, Ray Kroc made McDonald's, and like the malls that you use, like that leads to so much economic activity around that infrastructure. You could argue that infrastructure is a good investment. But the government is not only investing in infrastructure, and so we are not guaranteed that the monies are going to be used specifically for a good investment. And one other thing is, and this is my personal sort of view, but again, this is something to be concerned about is the amount of pollution and CO2 in the atmosphere and the overfishing and everything you can think of.
It's all population based.
It's based exactly. The less population, the less garbage you have in the Pacific Ocean, the less everything.
Dan, don't we want fewer people, not more of them? I mean, do we really want to fiscally incentivize? There's enough kids coming out as it is. Do we want to fiscally incentivize more?
Right. No, you've got a point there. What we have to do is control the rate of birth in such a way that we can live longer, be smarter, and produce a better world. And he brought up an important point that I've forgotten. I can't remember what it was.
Welcome.
Thanks. Go ahead. I guess
Dan, I've got another caller, and I'm going to thank you for this call. Appreciate it. You call back in anytime. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I wanted to give you some facts in a more clear fashion on a judge that was stealing, rather than give it in a narrative, give it in paired facts to demonstrate the lengths that this judge, Pamela Smith, and her husband Randy Smith, in Truth or Consequences, aptly named town in New Mexico. This judge was a probate judge, so she's dealing with dead people's money. And she had a fiduciary, by definition and legally, has a fiduciary responsibility to those people. If anybody knows what fiduciary means,
money.
She has to act in the best interest of the estate, not in her own best interest. And upon this elderly man's death, he was 82, and he died and she was called. She held a dual position. She was both the probate judge that would be administering the case, and at the same time, she was the deputy in the field for the OMI, the Office of the Medical Investigator.
It sounds like the executive might have been colluding with the judiciary.
Yeah, it was the OMI comes out of the University of New Mexico Medical Complex, and that's an obvious conflict of interest to hold both offices, because you can more easily do the crimes that she did. Then the next thing that she did is she appointed her husband to be an executor of sorts in the case because she claimed she could not locate any next of kin. The judge claims that the chief of police in Truth or Consequences had, when asked by her, had said that the guy had no relatives. However, the chief of police, in an interview with the Albuquerque Journal, said that the guy that had died had family in New York. And then the judge, Pamela Smith, stated that she had inquired of the deceased pension plan. He was a mason, a bricklayer, blocklayer. She had inquired of the pension plan of any errors, and she claims the pension plan told her, the judge, that there were no living heirs. The only heir.
We've heard all this. Is there something new to it? I mean, I've heard all this part of this. I've heard all this part of the story. Is there something new to it?
Well, yeah. There's more information that you didn't get. I'm forgetting you're not Ian. If you were Ian, then I started in the middle of the story. Then he would want me to go back to the top. So I started at the top, and I guess I didn't work the system well enough in my phone call. I'm forgetting who I'm dealing with tonight. So
David,
anyway, yeah.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it.
So we didn't get any farther than we did last time.
That's true.
For the call.
Yep. Thank you. 855-450-37. 855-450-FREE. Free as in Free Talk Live.
You got thanked.
Are you concerned that the values that made America great are no longer taught in schools? Well, I am, so I got my son the Tuttle Twins children's book series.
My name is Jack, and I'm 11, and I just finished the Tuttle Twins series. It taught me about liberty, free market economics, and entrepreneurship.
Give all the young people in your life a chance at reason and clear thought, because they're not going to get it at school. There are 9 books in the series, and each one teaches a set of ideas that children aren't getting elsewhere. Go to TuttleTwins.com and use coupon code FTL to get 40% off. That's TuttleTwins.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Business owners, you want more customers? Accept cryptocurrencies. There's people all around you just waiting to spend money at your store. If only you would take it. I know, you've been waiting till someone else makes it easy. Well, good news. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com adds Bitcoin to your point of sale, totally free. Use the same equipment you already have, now with Bitcoin. And unlike credit cards, there's no fees. Let the guys at HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com bring new customers to your store. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. TheMorganReport.com. TheMorganReport.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450, free as in freedom. If you are a liberty-minded individual and you've been looking to do business with other libertarians that have a business, go to liberty.menu. It's a tool for our community. At its core, it's a directory for events and businesses and digital content. Listings can be rated and reviewed, and there's a bit of a social network aspect to it where you can connect and share with others. The use of liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at liberty.menu. Use code FTL to get a special badge. It's liberty.menu.
Can I piggyback onto that, because you brought up something that reminded me. You were talking about liberty-minded individuals, and I'm actually experiencing an issue again with my own site with a particular shirt. I've had a printer again that had printed a particular product of mine has rejected it again for I guess not being unique enough of a parody. So
okay.
I had a shirt that is basically mocks. It's for Linux users and software freedom users who go around testing different distributions of Linux, and it was called Fedora the Explorer.
Okay.
Right, and so it contains a parody likeness similar to Dora the Explorer. Right,
but it says Fedora instead of Dora.
Yeah, right, and the character looks similar but is not identical, and so printers. I've had troubles with printers saying, "Hey, this looks too similar. You need to change." And it's like, well, at what point? It's a parody.
Right.
At what point is it no longer a parody because it's unrecognizable?
Yeah.
Like at what point are you? Like when is your legal team going to stop being so scared? That it's going to make sense to print this product.
So that's an interesting thing, right? About permissionless.
Right.
So they got like Bitcoin, and you don't have to ask people's permission to like buy this or that. And so like we have desktop printers now. And desktop printers allow you to print whatever you want.
Right.
Well,
so
to a certain extent, they don't allow you to print T-shirts very well.
Well, I mean, and then we're going to have like 3D printers of guns, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So like my point is technology allows people to do things that previously they needed like a print shop or a newspaper.
Yeah.
Like now you don't. You just send off an email.
There are one-off printers that you can buy. I mean, it's just a $30,000 to $40,000 investment to have anything that's going to spit something out of decent quality. So there is the option that I could solve this myself. I just don't want to make that kind of investment at this time. So unfortunately, I'm at the mercy of these legal departments. For the Liberty-Minded products. Liberty-Minded, being the Liberty T-shirt company that I do with Free Talk Live merch.
Yeah, exactly. That's to me, that's the most exciting thing. Is like I believe the alternative to government is technology, right? So we have like the post office. Now we have email. We used to have like the printing press. Now we have desktop printing. So like I believe that if you want people to move from government services, you have to build alternatives that are good enough that people will choose them. And that is the only way that we will move people. Otherwise, it's like talking to people to become vegans. It's like nice, but
until they make the steak that bleeds beet juice, it's just you just can't talk them into it. Let's go to the phones here. We got the Christian Anarchist here on the Discord lines. Gene, you there?
Hello. Yeah, guys, I wanted to talk about. You were talking about abortion earlier.
Yes.
And I want to give you my take on abortion.
Okay.
And as one who believes that life begins at conception, and if you do a DNA test on any fetus, it's going to come up human. That's just, you can't deny the fact that that life is a human life. You can't deny that it's life because it's reproducing cells. I mean, cancer is life. So you can't say that this is not a life. And if you check the DNA, it's definitely human. So life begins at conception. I think you can make a pretty strong argument for that. I also believe that ending that life is murder. Now, as an anarchist, I don't believe that the government
So wait,
should
you just
have
said
any
that cancer is life, so is taking a tumor out of a body a murder as well?
Well, I'm not murdering a human, am I, when I take the cancer out? I mean, I suppose you could say I'm murdering cancer, yes, and I'm all
I
for
think
that.
that there are plenty of people that would argue that you're not murdering a human if you take out a fetus either. They would argue that you're
They will argue that,
you're,
but
that you're
I'm
ending
just saying-
potential human.
Yes, and you'll get arguments on everything.
Let's assume the premise and let him go a little further.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm talking about my viewpoint on abortion.
Great.
As a Christian anarchist. And obviously, if you, in my viewpoint, then terminating a fetus is murder. However, I don't believe in the government getting involved in anything, least of all abortion. So I don't believe that there should be restrictions on abortion. What I think is that if a woman terminates her pregnancy, she has committed murder. That doesn't mean that I'm going to punish her for it. I have no skin in the game. It has nothing to do with me if she terminates
Right, so we live in a
pregnancy.
society that for a very long time, historically, has punished people whom murder, even if the society itself isn't diminished in that murdering, right?
Yes, but I don't believe in that.
So would you say the same if an adult was murdered?
If what was murdered?
If an adult
thing.
was murdered,
If-
would
if-
you have the same attitude?
Exactly the same. So if an adult is murdered, again, it's not any of my business, and I have no skin in the game. However, if the adult who's murdered, or the child, or the fetus, happens to be my relative, or happens to be a good friend of mine, now I have skin in the game, and I may do some kind of action against that. That's the way that I look at abortion. Abortion is murder, but it's a murder that's in the family. The mother murdered the child. If she wants to do that, it's her business.
I brought you into this world, and I can take you out. That old threat.
Absolutely. So right now, murders happen every day. There's murders happening in downtown Memphis right now as we speak. I have no skin in the game, so I'm not going to go and do anything about those murders.
So without government, it would be basically up to the family and the tribe to avenge a murder.
Yeah. That's the way it's been. That's the way of nature. That's the way it's always been.
Sounds like, what about the Hatfields and the McCoys and devolving into some kind of ongoing feud that lasts for generations?
The Hatfields and McCoys eventually worked out a truce, didn't they? They got tired of killing each other. Yeah, they did.
That's certainly a government-less solution. That is. The
Hatfield and the McCoys are no longer a thing. They're actually neighbors.
All right.
So yes, those things will work out in the end, and you do it without Goonerman Goon Squad violence against your neighbors, because all of these other solutions require you to send the goons to take care of something that you think is morally correct. And
what would you say to those who would talk about the Leviathan, the war of all versus all of Hobbes, and they would say, oh, if you just have one with a monopoly on force, you don't have these endless vendettas back and forth like the Hatfields and the McCoys. What would you say?
We have an endless vendetta right now by the goons. The Goonerment is also on an endless vendetta against people that want to smoke marijuana, for instance, who don't do anything to anybody. So you always have that issue, whether you have the power in the hands of the goons or the power in the hands of the people.
Thanks for the call, Gene. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450. Free as in Free Talk Live.
Complement your health with hemp-derived cannabinoid oil. We've always believed that the closer to Earth, the better it is for our bodies. Our hemp-derived cannabinoid oil is phytocannabinoid-rich, full-spectrum, and organically grown. Finally, hemp made easy, clean, and effective. GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203. That's right, we cut through the red tape. It's now available at GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203.
Many people believe they don't control their own destiny. Let them continue just getting by while you make the choice to do something about your future. Imagine working from home, earning the income you deserve. Just visit startlivingyoung.com and click on the Be Your Own Boss tab. Discover Juness, a state-of-the-art global health company with over $1 billion a year in sales. They'll provide all the tools you need to succeed. Visit startlivingyoung.com today and click on the Be Your Own Boss tab. Your destiny awaits at startlivingyoung.com.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Do you guys have a zombie plan? I'm just wondering what this country's going to do if we had some sort of apocalypse like that.
Like a
what
zombie
are we
attack.
Gonna do?
People coming out
like
of the ground, like in
zombies
Thriller,
or-
like in Michael Jackson's
like 28
Thriller.
days later, like a virus or something.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, people don't come back to life.
Well, now, there are different kinds of zombies out there.
Now,
but let me go through the types of zombies. I mean, you've got the ones that can crawl out of the ground, right? And then she was talking about like an infection kind of zombie, like a la Resident Evil, for instance. So ideally, if you're going to have to perish at the hands of a zombie, which would be the preference? Would you prefer to have your brains eaten, or would you prefer to become one of them?
I think I'd rather just die. The last thing I'd want is, of course, the people you split up with. Then I'm talking my wife and my child. I'm coming back. I'm wanting to eat Laura's brains. It's bad. It's bad.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. That's what we do here on Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Greg. And Johnson.
Greg, you had some thoughts on Gene the Christian Anarchist's little diatribe there on abortion.
You know, it's interesting. People fear liberty, right? They fear people's ability to choose between A and B, because what if they make the wrong choice?
Yeah, well, plenty of people do, right?
Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about murder.
I would make the right decision with my freedom, but it's what everyone else does.
Yeah. Well,
That's the problem,
I would
right?
give it
That's
to
the-
Johnson.
That's
I think
right.
Johnson will always make the right decision. But the thing is, like, I see this both on the left and on the right, and I think UBI is neither left nor right. Right? It's an entirely different dimension.
Universal basic income?
Universal basic income. It's the idea that people will get money who are citizens just because. Free and clear, right? No qualifying for being poor, no qualifying for having a job, just completely this. So on the left, there's this sort of weird distrust of like consumer choice. Like if we give people vouchers, they're going to choose what school to go to. And then some schools could face private competition, right? And these parents could choose wrong. They could choose wrong, and then the public school will be starved of like resources.
Right.
On the right, though, there's also this distrust of like, if people have their free time, they might choose wrong. They might choose to like take care of their kids or parents, or they might not be productive in society the way that they might not have a job.
Right.
And like, I think if we are really going to have a society of libertarian values and freedoms, we're going to have to just trust that, yes, some people may misuse their money and their time, right? But that's what liberty's all about.
Yeah, I don't mind that as long as they have the consequences for misusing their money and their time.
I feel like there's a lot of people, though, that make those choices like based on, they want to control other people. So, for example, there are, let's bring up, say, the issue of schools. If, you have a voucher and you have choice, right? On the left, you might be afraid that, your child or that people might be sending their kids to a school that isn't teaching, forcing all the kids to learn about social justice. And, on the right, it might be the same thing where you're afraid that people might be sending their kids to schools that aren't, indoctrinating all the children with the ways of Jesus. So, there's different just groups that war over kind of control of each other and the decisions that the people make. And I don't know if it's necessarily just fear. I think it's a combination of both. It's stick and carrot. It's wanting to control other people to a certain extent and being afraid of them not making the same decisions.
And by the way, with jobs, it's very much control. I mean, I've heard so many libertarians say, well, who's going to work if they have the money, right? It's sort of like we need people to work. We need to control them enough so they're hungry enough. So someone's got to do the dirty jobs, right?
Yeah, sure. The dirty jobs specifically, because there's some jobs that probably most people simply would not do. And I guess that a UBI is saying that robots would take care of those dirty jobs. I
Yes
don't know.
and no. Under a UBI, it's likely that those jobs would be done like 2 hours a day by different rotating shifts. Like in Chernobyl, when they took away the radioactive materials, there wasn't like people that took $1 million and did that.
Right.
There was like people just did little shifts of it. And I think most people, if given the choice, would like to spend time with their family and do little shifts. And I think our society would lead to a more part-time job. Why 40 hours a week today? Like maybe it should be 20 hours a week for most people in a few years, you know?
Let's go to the phones here. We've got, a friend of yours, Greg. We've got Libertarian Banker.
Hey,
Hey,
Greg.
Libertarian Banker.
Pleasure to see you, man. Pleasure to speak with you again. Thanks for putting me on the show, Mark. Just wanted to talk about the UBI. I mean, that's the usual topic I know Greg likes to bring up. But
Universal Basic Income?
Exactly. So Mark hit on this point earlier that, there is only one way to fund a universal basic income, and that's through taxation. And whether Greg thinks he can find some voluntary way to do it, if you have universal basic income, that is a government program. And I think the biggest problem that I have with Greg, and well, not with Greg himself, I really like Greg, but with the idea of UBI is that kids today, they love this idea. This is an idea that's really gaining traction, and it's so dangerous because there are studies that show that it costs a country 20 to 30% of their GDP in order to administer a universal basic income program. And that's money that's lost. That's money that is taken from productive people and then given to somebody who doesn't work and doesn't produce. So all of these progressive socialist programs like, infrastructure, minimum wage, schools, all these programs don't grow, don't get better because that income is wasted by people who are lazy. And that's the biggest problem, is that this idea can catch on and is going to take over, the brains of these young children and brainwash them into believing this stuff.
Let me ask you a question. I've got a question here. So, one of the things that's said in this, and it makes a certain amount of sense, is if you give poor people a bunch of money, they'll spend it anyway. So it increases the velocity of money, as it's called in economics. It increases the velocity, which is generally considered a good thing. It benefits everybody. Also, the thrift really isn't involved in many cases. The poor people aren't going to be saving their UBI. They're probably going to be spending it. Even if they're spending it on things we don't want them to spend it on, they're going to spend it.
So you're asking me why?
Isn't that good?
You're asking me. So the velocity of money. Let's talk about what that is. Explain what that is, I guess, for everybody, Mark.
Yeah, sure. So more or less, it's just what I said. Is that it's good when $1 is spent, 10 times in a month rather than being spent one time in a month. 10 times. It's 10. It has 10 times the
why
buying
is
power.
that? I guess the question is, why is that a better thing? Is savings and is that not the way to making capital investments? You have to save money in order to produce something into the future.
Well, now you have the
pivot
point between Keynesian and Austrian economics is the value of thrift versus the value of the velocity of money.
Yeah. So, maybe we can get into the minutia there. I'm not sure exactly what the sort of the question is, but I think the main thing, Greg, and I've brought this up to you before,
right,
is that no one person can decide how this money is spread out. And just because, and you said this earlier, I wrote it down. You said that if the money is spent correctly,
I think I argued against
spend this money correctly.
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that people will choose how to spend that money, and no one will earmark it for a specific purpose. And if it's spent, I was saying that people who distrust that system,
I do distrust it,
right? But they would often make an argument that the money is being spent incorrectly in their view, but from the person's point of view, that may be the very consumer choice that they make.
But what you don't realize, Greg, is that opportunity cost of the man that you had to take that money from and what he could have spent it on and what he found valuable because you decided to take it and give it to somebody else.
No, I think that's very important
that?
To keep in mind. But again, it goes both ways. So that money that the man who, let's say, makes, let's say it was Amazon that made a lot of money and didn't pay anything into the society. It was a corporation, right? It wasn't the man. That
They provide a service that people pay for? Is that not providing?
Every business does that. Every business does that.
Okay,
but we're talking about federal
that's
taxes.
A false statement.
Right. No, what I'm saying is they didn't pay. They paid zero in federal taxes. And what I'm saying is, instead of Amazon deciding that they want to invest in another center or another Kiva robot, that money would be diverted to people who then, it doesn't go down a black hole. They will decide what to spend it on.
Yeah, 50% off the top.
Hold on, Libertarian Banker. Let me just answer your question. The person deciding how to spend that money is not one person. Every person decides how to spend that money in their interest. And studies show that people who are middle income and below have a higher margin propensity to spend on necessities like food. So would you want to have food, or would you want to have more Kiva robots?
So this is a subsidy for the food companies.
It's a subsidy for humanity.
Love it.
Thanks for the call.
Keep me on there, Mark. I'll definitely stay on it. All right.
I appreciate it.
Have a great night.
Sure.
Thanks for the call. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, capitalists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event. Even with coupon code FTL50. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTL50 for a discount.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASAP what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Visit GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event. Even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, TOOT.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, final segment. Might be able to squeeze you in. I'll give you the number. 855-450-3733. 855-450. Free as in freedom. And please support Free Talk Live's Amplifier program. Go to amp.freetalklive.com to find more. Basically, you allow us to reach more people with the ideas of liberty and freedom of speech. It's amp.freetalklive.com. Greg, you said you felt like you owed Libertarian Banker just a little more of an explanation.
Yeah, I just wanted to spend just to quickly address. Look, Libertarian Banker, I come on the show as a co-host to represent liberty, right? But I don't have to necessarily be fully anarcho-capitalist. I'm also I'm a left libertarian. I think that I distrust concentrations of money and power, not just in the hands of government, but in the hands of any one individual or any corporation. If they amass too much, they make the choices for everybody. So to answer your point, I think you're making two arguments here and you're conflating them. One is, of course, the guy earned the dollar. Okay, I'm not going to argue
Which
about.
guy are we talking about?
Let's say Jeff Bezos.
Okay, when somebody earns a dollar, they earn it.
They earned
theirs.
it. They earned it. They yes. So that is an argument, and I can understand your argument. They earned it. It's fully theirs. They did all the work, right? Except we live in the 21st century, right? And we didn't earn most of the technological progress and science. Those people are dead.
Barack Obama's. You didn't build that.
Yeah, so like we didn't build Galileo's like discoveries or Newton's or anything.
Right. But neither did the poor guy down the street or the
no
government.
one did.
Yeah.
We don't deserve those any more than people in the 13th century deserved their things. It's just a pure accident of fate that we're born now.
Okay.
So we all have free gifts anyway. So that's deserving is an interesting argument, but but let's not conflate that argument with who is better suited for society to spend that dollar.
Okay.
Jeff Bezos may spend that dollar on decorations for his next headquarters. And maybe 1,000 poor people would spend that dollar on food, okay? So who is to say who is a better spender? We need to know what metric we're talking about. And my metric is the well-being of society, right, of people. So that is why I come down on the side of, I don't care that Jeff Bezos makes the argument, he doesn't, by the way, that he deserves the full dollar, okay? We all don't deserve to be born in the 21st century, 20th century. We got that for free. And so...
Most poor people aren't. I mean, it seems unlikely that if you hand out a bunch of money to poor people right now in America, that they'll spend that dollar on food because they. I mean, nobody's starving in America. The numbers of people that are starving. There might be some kid that's locked under the stairs someplace, like Harry Potter.
18% faces food insecurity.
Well, they use this terminology, food insecurity, and what they mean is that I'm a liberal white woman and I don't think they're eating enough vegetables. People who are food insecure, oftentimes you line them up here, they're going to be fat, half of them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if it's not food, it's something else. But I trust many people with the money than one guy. And I think that's libertarian. I want many people making choices, not one. Just like the government is one bureaucrat making choices, I don't want that either.
If we're saying that a universal basic income would substitute for all the, bloated, bureaucratic, welfare and frankly fraudulent welfare programs that currently exist, you got me kind of paying attention now. But if we're talking about adding it on top of this, then I'm with Libertarian Banker at that point. Let's go to the phone. So we got Bad Slave calling in on the Discord lines here. Bad Slave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I missed the earlier part of the show, so Greg,
all we ask for is 3 hours a day.
Right. Well, exactly.
Or you don't get your UBI.
That's right.
So, the Yang has got more than this UBI thing going on, right?
Yeah, he's running on the Democratic ticket, and many of his policies are like body cameras for cops, which, are data supported, I guess.
I actually have an argument against body cameras for cops. I say less laws, less cops, and less enforcement, and we'll all be better off. And then look at maybe we'll add cameras in.
Maybe one day when we decentralize government with technology.
That there's so many things, and one of the things that I'm pretty certain no Democrat is in the running for is smaller central government.
Well, I mean, Democrats want to cut the army, overseas,
No. I want an overall, not a slimming down
but
of
overall,
10
you're
or
right.
20%. I want a freaking 2 or 3 orders of magnitude shrinking of the central government.
This is absolutely something that almost a conversation you just simply can't have with somebody who's on sort of the left side, especially like moderate left, not somebody who's.
Well,
hold on.
sorry.
Let me finish talking. The fringe left out there might be able to have this conversation, but the United States is a federation. It's not a state. It's a federation of states. The EU is a federation. It's not a state.
That's right.
And states have the monopoly, as Barack Obama said, the monopoly that what distinguishes as a nation state is monopoly privilege on the use of violence. Right? And, that's what it is. So the federal government should just be states yicky-yacky about what it is that they have problems with. But
in between each other.
Democrats today are not talking about this as even a possibility. They're like, well, we live in the 21st century, and the government's the way it is now. I've got to deal with the way it is now, and I want it bigger to do the things that I want it to do. Greg?
Yeah, I mean, that's the Articles of Confederation. I think we had so many debates with the Federalists and the Confederation. Ultimately, the Federalists created the U.S. federal government and gave it a lot more powers. That's an open question. I think the United States is one of the freest countries when it comes to freedom of speech, and this show definitely is part of that. And I love that. Well, I love the freedom of speech in the United States.
Here's what's going on, though. That big central government is nothing but mostly destructive.
Yeah, I agree. And other governments are also.
And I mean, people that I know that are smart, that are aware, enlightened, they all agree with this. And so where's the problem?
No, I think you'll find many people agree with that.
Why can't we shave down that government to that couple of orders of magnitude, and then let the states start to work on their government?
Well, you know what a UBI would shave down? All those bureaucracies and all those people in those buildings trying to figure out who should get welfare.
Well, no bureaucracy ever disappears. It always grows. It's a virus. It needs to end in some, probably,
revolution?
Unfortunately, drastic.
Bad Slave, I'm going to grill Greg for the last couple of minutes. Thanks for the call. 855, I'm giving the number. Greg, so you're saying the bureaucracy would go away. How would UBI possibly do away with bureaucracy?
Well, I mean, Nixon, Andrew Yang, and others, they envisioned a world where you just give people money, and you don't even have to have them file a tax return. You don't need to show that they're poor. You don't need to follow them around and see if they're dating someone who's richer and now they don't need it anymore. You don't need to see if they're really disabled. And honestly, it's a society where people are more honest and they don't commit the fraud.
I mean, is government really going to do that? This is the organization that wants us, that does a census every 10 years. They're going to want to know. I would think that the minimum possible thing that you could do is to file a tax return, and they demand that at the very least.
Well, I always say, you're right. I agree with you. I always say that if you want alternatives to government, build them. Build the technology. So I'm building it. Intercoin.org, for example, is a voluntarist way to do UBI. But I'm not saying Andrew Yang is doing
I am very interested in Intercoin, yes. How is it voluntarious, though?
It's voluntarious the same way that Visa is voluntarious.
Okay.
People don't have to accept Visa credit cards. They do because it's convenient and because you have that money and they expect the bank to pay out, your merchant bank to pay out.
Got it.
So the same way, if people have trust in a currency like Harvard bucks or whatever the local, festival currency is, you go to, let's say, South by Southwest, and there's like a currency. That currency is spent locally at local vendors, and it not only does it help bring commerce to that area and track, how people used it and understand it locally, but also people might actually lose some money. We see this with currencies locally today in cities like Ithaca, New York, or Toronto bucks and Bristol pounds. There's things where they know that they're going to lose 3% on the Visa transaction, but they still use it. So that 3% could be used for something other than lining the pockets of Visa and the merchant banks.
Yeah, I think people use, a credit card, even though they're going to pay. They know that they're going to lose a little bit. Merchants use credit cards because it's a convenience thing. They know that people want to.
Every transaction, 3%, that could pay for a lot.
Yeah. Greg, thanks for being on the show here. Johnson, same to you. Even though I expect to see you again next week. Well, I won't see you.
No,
next
not
week.
next week.
You'll be on the show.
Thank you guys so much for inviting me. It was a blast.
Free Talk Live.
Okay, so a watch
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash